About my episode of Giant TV today. I've got two incredible people on the show. I've got Margaret Morrison, who is a Vistage Chair in the New York tri-state area. She's incredible, working with CEOs and C-suite executives, and they're talking about AI and ChatGPT and all of it. And then I've got the founder of Kingo, Ross Hartman, who is a consultant on AI to many incredible businesses across the country. We're going to get into this and have a very interactive discussion on AI, how businesses are using it, and the hot topics around it. Let's go check it out. Hi, everybody. This is Paul Hitchcock, founder and president of Giant Jackson Media. We help you to grow and nurture your business. Really excited for this episode today of Giant TV with my two incredible guests, Margaret Morrison and Ross Hartman. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yes, and Margaret is an incredible Vistage Chair at New York tri-state area. And Margaret, obviously, we've known each other for a while. We're going to get into this great discussion about what you're doing there at Vistage. Ross is the founder of Kingo, all about AI. And yes, she's going to bring up ChatGPT as well. It's on everybody's mind. But let's get into this. Margaret, tell us a little bit about your group and who you're working with, what you're building there, and how AI might be coming up there as a topic.
Absolutely. Thank you. And it's nice to be here with the two of you. So I lead a CEO peer advisory group in the tri-state area. And my group includes CEOs, presidents, and business owners of companies that are between 8 and 200 million. And we come together once a month to talk about different issues and get different perspectives. And I appreciate being here, and especially with Ross. Ross is going to be a speaker for our group soon. And I've connected a lot of people to Ross because AI is a really hot topic. When I think about the topics that we're talking about right now in our group that are on our CEOs and business owner minds, one is defining opportunity in the aftermath of COVID, the right growth strategy in light of the uncertain economic times. Another is workforce velocity, retention, which really ties to culture. But the third really hot topic is AI. And a lot of my members are trying different things to see how they could leverage it. Can it become a competitive advantage? And actually, several of them I've connected with Ross on some unusual topics that I'm learning a lot about AI. So it's really on everyone's mind right now.
Yeah, Margaret, I want to ask you about your groups, just because we're going to get into Ross and really breaking down what Ross, who's on the front lines, of course, of AI, is all involved with. But with your groups, Margaret, Vistage is awesome. I've been associated many years, but you have the CEOs getting together monthly, and then you have your one-to-ones monthly. And do you have some open seats there? Like who are you open to bringing on into the group?
Yeah, I'm looking for 4 or 5 more members for my current group, and then I hope to start a second one. For my current group, the idea is really to get as much diversity and different perspective as possible at a seat at the table. So different industries, different sectors, different experiences. I would love to get someone in financial services. I'd love to get someone in manufacturing, in marketing, staffing, in construction services, just to name a few. Yeah. But would love to talk to, anyone that may be interested. As I said, I'll be building a second group too, so that'll be wide open.
Yeah, and I want to mention this up front, which I always do, is want to get connected to both Margaret and Ross here. Their information is going to be around this video because this is live streamed everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and whether it's up here or down here, get connected, and we'll have a way for you to get in touch with both of them. So Margaret, yeah, and AI is coming up, I imagine, in your monthlies where all the CEOs are getting together. And Ross, let's jump in over to you. What is going on? What are the hot issues with AI? Because that's just a big umbrella topic.
Yeah, it's a huge topic, and it covers a lot of stuff. I mean, when we think about AI, we think about robots, we think of science fiction, we think of the future, right? The future that's far away. But the crazy thing is that AI is here today. And, I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this have used AI in some form or another. But with the release of ChatGPT in November of last year, it kind of created this digital assistant that we all have access to. And it really, from a CEO perspective, from a business perspective, it just creates a lot more labor efficiency. Folks are able to do a lot more with a lot less. And it creates this personal assistant that you have beside you all day long that can help you read, write, summarize, brainstorm, problem solve, and just kind of improve everything that you do on a daily basis.
Yeah, and Margaret, maybe you could mention a few industries in your group, and then Ross, you comment on what would be some of the applications in these sort of industries. Just if we can wet our whistle a little bit there.
Well, I also want to just comment. So it's so interesting, and this was an aha for me because I know Ross is talking to one of my members in the tech space, and one of the things I never thought of when I've been playing with ChatGPT is that anything you put into that, it becomes public information. So a lot of accounts may not realize they may be putting their proposals and their client information, and now all of a sudden that gets fed back into kind of the brain, if you will. Am I right, Ross? And then it's public information.
It's a fair point. I want to make a little caveat there. Most people use the free version of ChatGPT. And when I kind of poll the room, most people say, yeah, I'm using the free version. And for the free version, just like you're saying, yes, OpenAI, for instance, will use any information that you put into there, and they'll save it on their servers for training future versions like GPT-5. Now, even if you get the plus version, by default, the setting to have training on is turned on by default. So you have to get both the plus version and you have to turn off that setting. And only then can you feel comfortable sharing proprietary or confidential information. And then just a quick caveat, you can also go through the OpenAI API and they don't train on that, but that's a little bit more of a technical thing.
Yeah. But so to answer your question, Paul, so some of the industries, education, healthcare, technology, real estate are some of the industries, and hospitality. I know that's, I've got a member that's looking to figure out how to be more efficient in terms of some of the proposals and things that they're doing.
Yeah, Ross, so hit us with some of those industries. Like what are we thinking?
Yeah, exactly. There's stuff that affects pretty much every company, every industry. Most every company needs to deal with legal contracts in some form or another. And so having AI serve as a sort of first pass analysis of your legal contracts is incredibly valuable. Now, I do have to say it doesn't yet replace lawyers. So keep that in mind, but it can do that analysis for you and help you catch things you might not otherwise catch. And then it also understands boilerplate. So it can help you create proposals or even take templates that you already have and say, is there anything that I might not be considering for this particular client or customer? And can I add in something additional? So it can help with that. When it comes to hospitality, you got technology, we're talking about customer support, right? This is so applicable in the area of customer support. If you tie this technology to your company's data, then it can reference past customer tickets that you have had and essentially say, okay, this new one looks like a previous one that we solved. And so I know we solved it kind of like this. Let me answer that question in a similar way. And likewise, I know we talked about real estate there. So it can be used for project management, for estimation, and essentially anywhere you're creating documents or text-based information, it can create a first draft for you. And then also serves as a logic layer in our organizations. We have all of this data, but it's been hard to get at that data and make sense of it. But now, using this technology, it can extract insights that we couldn't previously see.
And Ross, when you say that it can look into the information you have stored at the business, I mean, whatever apps you're using, you can tie AI into the storage apps of whatever business you're in and whatever you're using.
Yeah, so not by default, but you can essentially use software. So Kingo has some software that does, but you can essentially plug in the AI into your data securely, obviously, so that it reads the information securely. And I was working with a group this morning where we took some maintenance information, some predictive maintenance information, we put it into the AI to create an AI model that could then predict future maintenance. And it had a 97.23% success rate on predicting whether something needed maintenance. And, you didn't need to know computer science or data science or anything to create that model. The AI does it for us. And so it also unlocks new functional opportunities. We now have data scientists on our team, not as humans, but as AI. And that is just a new paradigm shift.
Very interesting. You got my brain going on the uses of it. Every time you talk, and Ross, I've heard you, several times, it just gets the wheel spinning. And like you said before, just think about all the things you're currently doing and how those might apply to AI. And that's the best way to start, thinking about these things.
Yeah, well said. I mean, that's exactly like you were saying. Some people, when they approach this, they say, well, I'm not really sure what AI can do. So I know it can write a poem or it can, do somebody's homework, but I don't really know how it can help me in business. And I think, just like you're saying, the way to think that is to flip it and say, what am I doing on a day-to-day basis? What takes a lot of time? Now, how can AI help that? And it likely can.
Yeah.
And also, oh, sorry. I was going to say also to have someone with Ross's knowledge and experience to help then figure out what is the best way to apply that and what is it that we're not thinking about, right? And should you have I'm probably not saying it right, like a private AI function, right? I mean, you could have your own AI, so it does feed, as you were saying, Paul, for your own applications, but it doesn't go anywhere outside. So it's really interesting and unlimited, but you kind of need someone to help sort through it with you, because it's I would think it's hard to figure out.
Yeah, it's like the Wild West, which gets me over to Ross, your AI brain, which I love bringing this up because it really is a response to what Margaret's bringing up. Is tell us about the AI brain and what you're doing with that.
Yeah, I mean, Margaret, you explained it perfectly, and you have a great grasp on it. It's essentially creating your own proprietary AI in a way. Now, you don't have to spend the tens of millions of dollars to train your own model, but instead what you do is you put an AI brain, Paul, like you were saying, onto your company's network in a secure way so that it has read-only access to your data. And from that, it can talk to the existing AI model, like whether that's ChatGPT or whether that's Anthropic's Claude, some sort of language model. And then it can essentially, when the user comes in and asks a question, it can respond appropriately given your data. So, if any of you all have used ChatGPT, it's amazing, it's incredibly helpful, but after you start using it, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of days, you're like, what would make this even better is if it had our company's information. Is if I could say, can you pull up this invoice, or can you pull up our sales data from last quarter? Or what was that meeting I was in last week? So giving ChatGPT access to your data, that's essentially the AI brain.
And that's what Kingo's doing, right? I mean, tell us about your firm, Ross, and what you're doing to help companies out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So Kingo, we essentially work with companies to, one, help them adopt AI. I think Margaret was saying, there's a lot here. And so sometimes you just need somebody who can walk you through, how do I use this stuff? Where do we even start, right? So there's that. But then secondarily, there is essentially giving AI secure access to your data and seeing those kind of labor efficiency improvements, better customer experience, better efficiency, better employee engagement even, because when employees are freed up from doing these kind of menial data tasks, well, now they can work on things that are more creative, more engaging, and that's something you see across the board. So yeah, Kingo helps companies adopt and create their own AI brain.
So I have a question there because, one question on that is, so I have a ton of apps I'm using for everything, right? And one of the things we got to do is, if this happens, then we go here, right? So there's, if, IFTT is there, and other applications that connect, disparate apps with each other. There's just a million things I'm thinking of right now where we have all these pieces connected. Does AI get involved in that, and looking at all the disparate apps you have, and creating workflows, and you can tell it to create workflows and do different things?
Exactly. So
Really?
the AI software we've got, it does have that sort of automated workflow system because it can talk to the APIs of different software. So essentially, the AI, you give it a task or an objective, and it can determine, okay, what software do I need to talk to, and how do I talk to it, given this information? And so it's wild, right? And that's why we're having this conversation, is because it is so transformative. It is changing business in a way. It's incredible.
So Ross, so someone books on your calendar, Calendly, right? And then you want to say, hey, AI, Ross is, king of brain. Okay, they book on here, grab the email, put it on this app over here, send them this form over here, and have a follow-up alert over here. I mean, blah, 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 blah. That is something that you can start programming and get done.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, the really cool part, though, is it's not just a workflow system, because, Zapier can do that, if this, then that, but it's providing some level of intelligence at each of the stages so that the AI can assess, okay, well, given this, let me read this email, determine kind of what it is, and then determine where to go next. And yeah, it's incredible stuff.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So
I have a question, Ross. So if you talking to CEOs, business owners, and leaders, what would you say are the top 2 or 3 things they should be thinking about in terms of AI?
Really good question. So there's the practical stuff, there's the theoretical stuff. I'm going to say the first thing I recommend for everybody is put together an AI use policy. Data is more important than ever now with AI. So it makes it actionable. It makes it valuable. We want to capture more of it. We want to prevent others from getting a hold of it, right? And so putting together a policy of what's your data, what's confidential and proprietary versus low risk versus sensitive, that kind of stuff. Another thing, though, is learning, and this is another practical one, is kind of creating a culture that is going to make AI a behavior change. So a lot of the challenges, and if I were to say, what's the one reason that AI might fail in your organization? It's because people have the technology, but they don't remember to use it, because it is a habit change. You have to decide, okay, I have this task. I'm going to, instead of just writing out this email, I'm going to have AI do the first draft, and then I'm going to edit it. And so that's an important part of it. And then learning some prompt engineering. But finally, if there were a third tip, I would say, think about the future and what is coming. The thing I like to say is that this is the worst that AI will ever be. In other words, it's just going to keep getting better and better and better. We are seeing on a weekly level new AI models being released. And Google now is announcing that their Gemini model is going to come out as early as this fall even. And when that comes out, they're saying it's going to beat GPT-4. And I guarantee you OpenAI is not going to sit by the sideline. They're going to say, okay, well, we're training GPT-5 now. So we want to create an infrastructure that can benefit from these new breakthroughs that are just going to continue to come.
And it could really help a company become lean and mean, if you will, as well as support a competitive advantage, I would imagine.
Yes.
In various aspects of their business. Yeah.
Well said.
Fascinating.
I mean, there is this window that we all have right now where if you're listening to this, you're probably on the cutting edge of this technology, right? And you have this window where you can implement AI and get that competitive edge. But in the near future, that window is going to close to the point where it's not really a competitive advantage anymore. It's something you need to even stay competitive,
right?
Because companies around the world are already implementing this.
Yeah, very good point. Well, we could have this discussion forever. I was fascinated by this. Awesome. I want to thank both of you for being here. I want to thank everybody for watching this. Again, get connected, Margaret and Ross. and follow us because we're going to keep updating on this very topic. Thank you both.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Paul. Nice
Thank
to
you,
see you,
Margaret.
Ross.
You too.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.